Alright, we are live. Hey there, peeps, Detective Boo Boo here. Um, it is that time of year again. We find out the entire bracket up to this point. What I have in front of me right now is the bracketology by on ESPN's website. Um, I'm just waiting for the selection show just to start. It should be starting here in like a few minutes. Um, a little bit of like what's going on right now. You see like the little key right here. Everyone's like already confirmed and whatnot. This one, the projected, Michigan fell to Purdue. So Purdue, pretend Purdue's like highlighted here on somewhere. I don't know where they're at actually. Oh, they're down here. Yeah, yeah. Purdue is in. They're and then oh, it's starting. And then South Florida, I don't know where they're at on here. I think they're like a 9 seed or something. 11 seed. 11 seed. Yeah. They won, so they're in. So big question is going into the selection show on this list. Miami of Ohio, one of the 31-1 on the year, but they have one of the worst strength of schedules in the entire country. Auburn, 17-16. They have the toughest schedule in the nation and have a net rating of 38. So it's gonna be really really weird to see, or interesting to see actually, who gets in, who's out. All right, we just started. Projecting, I think Duke's going to be the overall number one. If they're not, I'm going to be really shocked. The one line looks pretty set. Like Michigan. Well, I guess Florida. The Florida question's in play. But Arizona, Michigan, Duke should be all confirmed as one seeds. All right, let's see. All right, overall number one seed is Duke, to the surprise of absolutely no one. I wouldn't be surprised if they get like a first four game between like someone like a Howard or a Lehigh or a Prairie View A&M, like a or Queens, UMBC, LIU. Let's see. Oh, they get Siena. Oh, they put Siena that low? Okay. Um, they're the net ranking says Siena's better than at least seven the other conference champions, but that's interesting. Oh, Ohio State's 8. Okay, that actually kind of matches up what's over on this bracket right here. Dude, Ohio State, Duke. Ohio State's taken down some pretty damn good teams this year, so that's gonna be an interesting 8, not 8. And TCU. Oh, that is a juicy matchup. TCU has been playing pretty damn well in this year, so it's good. That's a really interesting 8-9 matchup. 5 seeded. They just said it was St. John's, the Red Storm. Oh yeah, they just demolished UConn yesterday in the Big East championship game. So, oh, Rick Pitino against Duke. That would be an interesting Sweet 16 matchup. Northern Iowa, man. Oh, I remember that upset when they had against Texas a few years ago. That's an interesting matchup. That's gonna be good. Missouri Valley teams have always given a really good fight in the tournament. There's Can. Oh my God! They really want it. They really want Kansas to fucking take on Rick Pitino, huh? They couldn't get it done last year. They really want. They really want them to face off against each other. California Baptist is their opponent. The winners out of the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference. Sixth seed is Louisville, the Cardinals. I think they managed to get to the quarterfinal of the ACC tournament, ranked 24 going into this week. Their opponent, South Florida, who just won like a half hour ago, maybe. Michigan State is the 3 seed. Let's see, 25-7, led by head coach Tom Izzo, one of the most historic college basketball coaches, especially in this era. They will take on North Dakota State. Ooh, North Dakota State's interesting. They've had a pretty good record, but it's not really backed up by their like strength of schedule and whatnot. I thought they may have been like snuck into like a 13 seed, but hey, 14 seed I guess isn't too bad. 7th seed in this region is UCLA. Let's see, 23-11. Oh my! They actually got UCF in. Wow, that's interesting. That's a really interesting bout. Alrighty, yeah, UCF actually slid into there. Hey, good job, committee. I guess, or Joe Lunardi more likely because he's the one that's doing the predicting. Alrighty, who's the 2 seed? That eliminates UConn from the 1 seed. Yep, that's what I figured. They got blown out by St. John's in the Big East final. Yeah, they probably lost all shot of it. So now the question is it going to be Houston or Florida for that final 1 seed? Who's their opponent? Probably like it says Queens here, but let's see who they're actually going to take on. Oh, Furman. Furman, man. They weren't that great in the regular season. They were finished 6th in the Southern Conference. And they ended up going on a little bit of a run at the end of the year to win the Southern Conference tournament. So, we'll see. Oh yeah, what's standing out here? Um God, us Kansas versus St. John's round of 32. They really wanted this because this is the second straight year that if assuming both teams win, they face off against each other in the round of 32. St. John's got it done last year. Kansas not so much. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, now I'm thinking about it. Michigan State and UConn. That would be such a good Sweet 16. I might favor UConn in that game though. We'll see, because I wanna do a deep analysis because the bracket challenge doesn't open up until 6 o'clock my time. So we'll be here for a little while. Yeah, South Florida, they've had a pretty damn good year. I think they were like pretty much the runaway favorites to win the American, and they ended up winning the American Conference tournament. So we'll see how things go. Um, we have not seen any bubble teams yet. It was mostly filled up with like South Florida, and then we got the Northern Iowa pick here. So no, this was not a bubble reveal region. Because again, as it's going into commercial break, the big question is Auburn gonna like how much, especially for the bubble, how important is strength of schedule truly to the committee? Because I give you the example again, Santa Clara and Miami of Ohio both play in mid-major conferences. Miami, Ohio went 31-0, undefeated in regular season play, then lost to UMass, the 8 seed, in the opening round of the MAC tournament. Santa Clara, they're probably in. They had a pretty damn good season overall. I want to say they went like 25-6. I want to say they went 25-6. But they ended up beating St. Mary's, probably who's a shoo-in into the tournament, in the semifinal before falling to Gonzaga in the championship game. Yeah, 24-7. That's what the regular season record was. Then they won 2 games in the West Coast tournament, and then fell to Gonzaga in the title game. So they're 26-8. They're probably in. I would be very shocked if they aren't. Miami of Ohio, like I said, undefeated in regular season play, but they lost to UMass in the tournament. So the question is, I really think Miami of Ohio should be in. They really should be. The question is, though, are they going to be playing in Dayton in the last 4 in? Or are they going to get one of the byes and face someone, like, right off the bat, like a Purdue or not a Purdue, a BYU or a Tennessee or North Carolina? It's going to be interesting. And then Auburn, to get a little bit of a deeper analysis of Auburn, they have entered the season with the toughest strength of schedule in the entire country. They also are like top 40 in the net, which is a huge statistic in determining how truly good a team is. Net rankings, for those who are wondering, basically take your games against teams and like establish like records wise against certain quadrants. So like quad 1 is like the elite of the like the best of the best. It's the elite teams. Quad 2 right under there, still pretty damn good strong teams. Maybe someone like maybe teams that are like around the bubble, something like that. Quad 3, they probably could be a dark horse in the tournament, like your early like 12, 13 seeds in the like conference champions, but also playing in some of the conferences like that. Quad 4 is everyone below that. They're like bottom of the barrel in the college landscape of college basketball. Auburn 4-13 in quad 1, 17-16 overall. They cannot win games, so that's going to be a big question. All right, they came out of commercial break. Number 2 overall. Yep, Arizona. Especially with Michigan losing just a little while ago, it was no doubt Arizona was going to be the second number 1. So bracketology right now has them playing Long Island out of the Northeast Conference, but we'll see who they actually play here. They may get one of the winners of the first 4. Let's see. Damn, that looks so nice in it. Yep, LIU. They did actually put LIU there. All right. So it's the Sharks out of the Northeast Conference. Historically, one of the worst conferences in Division 1. But, hey, you get in, you get in. You cannot complain about it. Villanova. Ooh, that's interesting. 24-8 on the year. 3rd in the Big East. Oh, they put Utah State there. Oh my god, Mountain West champions. Ooh. I don't know, because Utah State was really good early in the season, but they have a little bit dropped off just slightly. They had them as a 7th seed in bracketology. That's shocking to me. All right, 5 seed is Wisconsin. Went to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament before falling to Michigan. Pretty solid year overall for them. Seems about right. Oh, High Point. It's their 2nd consecutive tournament. Back-to-back Big South tournament champions. They would easily be... I would not be surprised. 12/5s are pretty common in pick'em pools and whatnot. So I would not be surprised if a lot of people picked High Point over Wisconsin. All right, 4 seed is Arkansas, who just won the SEC title today. Oh, they are on a bit of a hot streak. And I don't see much wrong. I could easily see them going on a little bit of a run. They play 13 seed Hawaii, the Rainbow Warriors out of the Big West Conference. Hawaii, I've been following some of this the whole time. Hawaii's always been near the top of the conference, so it doesn't surprise me. BYU, ooh, they're a 6 seed still. Okay, I've been following, especially Big 12 basketball, because that's where K-State's at. BYU has fallen off a little bit. I think they could have easily been like a 3 seed if they kept up their momentum, but there's our first 4 game. It's between Texas and NC State. So NC State here was the last 4 bye in the bracketology. Texas was the last team out. That's interesting. So that they leave out SMU. That's a really interesting question going forward. 3 seed. Oh, BYU. If they win that game, they're gonna get a familiar taste of an opponent. Their former Big West, freaking dominant team. Gonzaga, who their final year in the West Coast, won the tournament, won the regular season title. Hallelujah. They're going to be taking on 14th seed Kennesaw State. They're like Furman in a way. They also were like 6th or 7th in their Conference USA. Went on a bit of a run. I think they defeated, I want to say, Jacksonville State in the championship game, but we'll see. 7-10 matchups gonna be between Miami and Missouri. Missouri was a bubble team. They were they had the very last bye, so that's interesting. A 10 seed is actually a pretty damn good seed. Purdue is the number 2 seed. They really moved them up. After their big conference tournament run, one of the premier teams in college basketball these days went out of a bit of a run after people were probably downing them. 15th seed Queens, North Carolina is the 15th seed Purdue will face. They won the Atlantic Sun title. Um, and yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fair placement for all of these teams. I'm surprised though. Utah State is 9. I don't get that really. They're 28-6, and the Mountain West has been one of the more favorable mid majors in recent memory. I know there's a lot of teams that are going to be departing for the new Pac-12 next year, but still, especially since bracketology had them at a 7th seed. Damn. And then of course we found out two bubble teams: NC State, Texas. They're going to be facing off in Dayton on, I want to say it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. I forgot which day. But they're going to be taking on BYU, whoever wins that game. Honestly, I don't know, because I think BYU actually now has a chance, because if they got someone like a VCU again, which I don't think they put them back to back against each other, or if they got like a Santa Clara, I think I might have favored I would have favored like a Santa Clara over BYU, but I'm not feeling strong about either Texas or NC State. I don't know. Actually, you know what? NC State has looked pretty damn good this season, but an 11 seed, damn. Maybe something went off on the rails a little bit. I wasn't fully aware of what happened at NC State or whatnot. But yeah, I might favor NC State in that first 4 game. And then if I don't know if I'd favor them over BYU. That's a toss up for me, I'd have to say. But yeah, 2 regions down, 2 to go. We still got a couple teams awaiting their fate and whatnot. So let me go over again the other highlight of the year in terms of the on the bubble, Auburn. So I was talking about Auburn before they came back from commercial break. 17-16 overall. I believe 4-13 in quad 1. But they have top 40 net ranking. They're 38th. They also have the toughest strength of schedule in the country. But again though, 4-13 in quad 1, 7-15 in the first 2 quadrants. Is that really a deserving team? Because it really shows, like, how much do you really value strength of schedule? Because yes, Auburn had a really damn good schedule, and they had a few good wins, including their biggest win of the year, which was the road victory back in January against Florida, who's currently ranked 4th. But their worst loss of the year easily was the Ole Miss home game. Their only quad 3 loss on the year. That might have stung. That was probably the dagger into any hope of getting into the tournament. So we'll see. The other question is, like I said, Miami of Ohio. Are they going to get a bye, or are they going to be playing in Dayton? Honestly, I would be more tempted to put them in the bye, but I would understand if they went to Dayton. I think we can eliminate like anyone behind San Diego State on this bubble. Because the problem is, San Diego State and New Mexico, the Mountain West is weaker this year. I know I just said Utah State had a really damn good year and whatnot, but the Mountain West as a whole, just not as great as it was in past years. And it's kind of sad, because now that conference is going to be broken up with the Pac-12 being reborn with all those teams and whatnot. It's just a different landscape for the Mountain West, and I would not be surprised if they become irrelevant within the next few years. But we'll see how things go. Let me look up San Diego State for San Diego State and New Mexico. San Diego State 47th in the net. That's like on the cusp. That's like really close. Their quad 1 is terrible. They're 3-8. Their best win of the year was a win at home against Utah State. But their worst loss of the year was the home game to Troy, who was ranked 125 in the net. It's a really damning blow on your resume. First 2 quadrants are okay. They're 9 and 10 in the first 2 quadrants. That's fine. but I don't know if they have enough to really give them a case to be in. New Mexico, just above San Diego State in the net, they're 46th. They are 2-7 in quad one, 8-8 in the first two quadrants. Their best win of the year was an away game at VCU, who won the A10. So they have that going for them. Unfortunately, they have two quad three losses. That's a big blow to their chances. One of them wasn't too bad. 87th ranked Colorado State. That's fine. But the real blow was to New Mexico State, who's ranked 190. And yes, I was on the road, but still, that's a really big blow to your tournament home. So, and then you can see like Indiana, Stanford, Cincinnati, Seton Hall. Each of them have their own reasons why they probably shouldn't be in. But we'll see, because now they're coming back from commercial break. Yep, they put Michigan at 3. So they did respect the 31-3 record. They're still a 1 seed. So I guess Michigan will take that. They probably wanted a Big Ten title though along with that. But you know what? Be glad you're in the tournament. Be glad you're a 1 seed. They're going to be taking on the winner of the first 4 matchup in Dayton between the UMBC Retrievers and the Howard Bison, winners of the America East and the Mid-Eastern Conference, Mid-Eastern Athletic all together. Alrighty. 8-9 matchup. Oh, that's going to be a good match. It's going to be between the Georgia Bulldogs and the St. Louis Billikens. St. Louis spent a lot of time in the AP poll this year. I want to say they went like 28-5 or something. 28-5. Okay, they got to the semifinals before losing to Dayton in the A10 tournament. Georgia had a pretty damn good year. 22-10. They managed to get to a bye in the SEC tournament before falling to Ole Miss. So that's probably why they're that low. The 5-12 matchup: Texas Tech and Akron. 22-10. Texas Tech. I could see them being upset on upset alert, especially with the 12 matchup against Akron. 29-8. They were actually, despite Miami being the overall number 1 seed in the MAC tournament, Akron was actually the favorite. So, well, that's a dangerous team. Alabama's the 4 seed. They're 23-9. They took a really bad loss though to Ole Miss. I know Georgia did as well, but yeah, a really bad loss in the SEC tournament quarterfinal. They're gonna be taking on Hofstra. Now I heard a little bit about Hofstra. They play really I think they have a pretty deep bench as well. They play pretty fast and they control the tempo pretty damn well. We'll see how things go. They're 24-10 overall. They won the Coastal Colonial Athletic Conference. Or the Colonial Athletic Association. I don't know what it's called. 6th seed is Tennessee. 22-11 on the year. Who are they facing? They did send them to Dayton. So the final 4 teams are Texas, NC State, Miami of Ohio, and SMU. Wait, did they leave Santa Clara out? They may have let Santa Clara out. Oh my god, I'm just realizing that. What? I think Miami of Ohio actually has a chance to win that game too against SMU. 3 seed is Virginia. They had a really good year this year, a bounce back year from their previous years. 29-5. They just fell short to Duke in the ACC title game, and I watched that game a little bit. They actually played some really damn good basketball. They're going to be taking on Wright State out of the Horizon League. 23-11, winning the regular season and tournament titles. 7th seed, is Kentucky. 21-13. They're what is known as a blue blood. So there's Santa Clara. I was gonna say there they. That could be. Wait. That could be a 10-7 upset right there. Because Kentucky has been a little inconsistent this season. Santa Clara is peaking at the right time. That could be an easy 10-7 game. And yes, Iowa State is the 2 seed in this region. Had a pretty damn good year. Unfortunately, they did kind of fall off a little bit in like January, February range. Because they really had a stretch where they could have been in potential for a 1 seed. But then they kind of fell out of that picture a little bit. They ended up getting back into it, though. They got to a 2 seed, so they can't really complain about that. Tennessee State, the first team to punch their ticket through a conference championship victory, or a conference tournament win, in the Ohio Valley. I want to say it's like the first time in like 40 something years that they're going to the tournament. Good for the Tigers. This is going to be an interesting region. Honestly, I could see Akron and Hofstra upsetting Tech and Bama. Especially, well, I don't know, because Bama, I don't think they're going to let what happened to Ole Miss happen again. I think Hofstra got a meh draw, which in this scenario for a mid-major isn't that great. Akron, though, I think they got a pretty good, decent draw. They may upset Tech, but I would probably put in Bama over Tech. I don't know. The Big 12 has been kind of strong this year, so Tech's got a little bit of something on their side. Georgia St. Louis, that's a really good toss-up matchup. I could see St. Louis winning that. All right, bottom of the bracket. Let's see. I don't know if I could put in Kentucky further than a round of 32, just because those two matchups against Santa Clara, probably most likely Iowa State. That's that's a tall order for them, and um, Virginia Tennessee, that would be a really good round of 32 matchup. Yeah, and Miami of Ohio. I'm glad they got in. They're going to Dayton though, so they're gonna have to prove themselves now. Probably one of the biggest tests of their entire season. See if they're prepared for it. I would probably put Miami of Ohio in the field, but I don't think I'd push them past the round of 64. So, last four in are already said. Like I said, it's Miami, Texas, NC State, and SMU. So, we'll see where the rest of the teams go. Yep, we're still waiting on a couple of teams left. Okay, I'm thankful because that means they most likely, unless something stupidly absurd happens, they left Auburn out. So I'm really happy about that. Let's see, and they put let's see, Santa Clara got a bye, switch them and NC State around. Man, UCF, Missouri, A&M, or we haven't heard from A&M actually. Hold on, I don't think we mentioned A&M at all. Hold on a second. We have not heard from A&M. Hold on a second. I would just choose whoever won last year. That's the problem, though. Repeating is really, really hard, though. Because now I'm starting to read your chat now. I'm sorry. Hello, Bendy, Dark Dog, and Lacey. The Texas loss still haunts me. I'm doing the bracket tonight. Yeah, I'm going to be analyzing the teams a little bit once the field is set, and then I'm going to be picking every single team. Or the entire bracket tonight, including first four, which I'm not sure how much that's going to matter. But then again, 2021, UCLA won the first four, made it all the way to the final four. So, yeah, we still haven't heard from teams like Idaho. We haven't heard from North Carolina at all. We haven't heard from Florida. That's the big question now. Florida or Houston? Who are they? Who's that final one seed? I think now my opinion is different from what my thought is. My thought says it's Florida, just because they've been on that one seed this entire time, whatnot. Even though they got walloped by Vanderbilt in the SEC semifinal, Houston and UConn both lost yesterday as well. So in their title games, so Florida probably still has that one seed. Who do I think should get the one seed? Houston. I think Houston should get the one seed. And it's important to know, they haven't mentioned the South region yet. Which means, no matter what, Houston's going to be placing here. Which means, you see that? South goes to Houston for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. That's a huge home court advantage for Houston. And I'm going to be interested to hear why the committee put them there. Yeah, we haven't heard from like an Illinois or a Penn. We haven't heard from A&M or a Houston or Florida. So that's going to be a really interesting topic now going into this final region. All right, looks like they're about to come back from commercial. Yep. All right, here comes the South region. Yep, they put Florida as the 1 seed. They did win the tournament as the 4th overall number 1. So we'll see how things work out for them this year, though. I'm not as strong on Florida as I was last year. That's why I picked to win it all last year. By the way, actually got the 2 teams in the title game correctly and almost the correct score and but I did pick Florida over Houston last year, so I'm proud of that. All right, last 16 seed teams are Prairie View A&M and Lehigh, so that's gonna be an interesting game. Clemson is gonna be the 8 seed in this field. Makes about sense. I think they'll probably take on Iowa. Yep, they'll take on the Iowa Hawkeyes, who are 9th in the field. That's gonna be an interesting 8-9 matchup. 5th seed is Vanderbilt. After blowing out Florida in the semifinal, are placed in the same region as them. They could easily be in the Sweet 16 against Florida, so that could be a revenge little arc for Florida if they get that far. The 12th seed, out of the Southland Conference, McNeese, the 28-5 McNeese State Cowboys upset SFA in the Southland Conference Tournament Final. They're here for the 3rd consecutive season and pulled off the victory against Clemson last year. Nebraska, they're the 4th seed out of the Big Ten, probably their most successful college basketball season in team history. So we'll see how things go out. They still have yet to win an NCAA tournament game. They'll be taking on the Troy Trojans out of the Sun Belt. Troy's here for back-to-back years. We'll see how the Trojans handle things this time around. The 6th seed out of the ACC, they're the Tar Heels of North Carolina. They had the big, outstanding victory against Duke. The only other team to do it this year was Texas Tech. And the Tar Heels did it on their own home court. Just a extra kiss on chef's kiss. They'll be taking on the A10 champion VCU Rams. 27-7 this year. They were an 11 seed last year, but then got beat by BYU. So we'll see how things go this year as an 11 seed. Alrighty. 3 seed is Illinois. The Fighting Illini. Out of the Big Ten, they were the fourth in the conference, but then got bounced by Wisconsin in the quarterfinal. They'll be taking on Penn, the Quakers, who just upset Yale in the Ivy League tournament title today, in overtime of all places. They'll be taking on the Illini. There's St. Mary's, the 7th seed. The Gales, 2nd in the West Coast Conference before getting bounced by Santa Clara. There's Texas A&M. That's your last bubble team in the field. The Aggies are going dancing. They'll be taking on St. Mary's. 2nd overall, the number 2 seed is Houston. The Cougars are going to be the number 2 seed, and I'm assuming we have gone through everyone pretty much. We're missing... Who are we missing? Idaho, yeah, Idaho. The Vandals, out of the Big Sky. They won as the 7th seed in the Big Sky, taking down, I believe, Montana. No, I want to say Montana State in the final. Yeah, they beat Montana. That's who they beat in the championship game. Montana State was the 2 seed. I think they did still beat Montana State in the tournament early on. That was their big upset waiting to get them rolling. So yeah, Idaho, 15 seed in this region. It's gonna be an interesting one though. Florida, it's gonna be an interesting debate. Why'd they put them over Houston? Pretty sure we all know why, but I just want to hear what the committee has to say about it. Um, and North Carolina, Illinois, that would be a really good round of 32 matchup. It's a shame one of them has to go home though. And we could have a national championship rematch in Houston for the Elite Eight, for the South Region final between Florida and Houston if they get that far. We'll see how things go. Alrighty, here's how many bids each conference got with multiple bids. SEC leads the way with 10, then the Big 10 with 9, and the ACC Big 12 have 8, and then the Big East, West Coast each have 3, and then there's 2 other conferences that got 2. All right, last 4 in, as we said earlier, NC State, Texas, SMU, and Miami of Ohio. The first 4 out, Oklahoma, Auburn, San Diego State, and Indiana. So this is pretty much almost accurate, except flip NC State with Santa Clara, flip New Mexico with or flip Santa Clara with NC State, flip New Mexico with Indiana, and that's pretty much what we saw here. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Ole Miss loss, their lone quad 3 loss, combined with the 4-13 quad 1 record, and the 17 and 16 overall record, just not enough for the committee to put them in. And most likely, I'm pretty sure this is how it works. Oklahoma, Auburn, San Diego State, and Indiana are going to be the number 1 overall seeds in the NIT, I believe. So we'll see how they if they can prove themselves there. But for all intents and purposes, they each had something that really hurt their resume, and that's why they're out in the tournament. So it's a little bit before we can actually see the bracket, but actually, you know what? Let me pull up the bracket here real quick. Give me a moment, y'all. I'm going to darken this a little bit. Hello, KK. All right, we got the tournament bracket up. Um, yeah. Let's see. We're just gonna sit here for a little bit. We got about 20 minutes before the brackets open up. We got as you can see, every single team is now set. We got first 4 matchups now. We got Texas, NC State, Miami, Ohio against SMU, UMBC and Howard, and Prairie View A&M against Lehigh. And then you'll see where they're put in. Prairie View, Lehigh will be taking the winner will take on Florida. At UMBC Howard, the winner will take on Michigan. Miami, Ohio, SMU will take on Tennessee. And Texas State, NC State, or Texas and NC State winner will take on BYU. So, early thoughts before I go into like a little bit of a quiet session on my own. Make my look up some of these teams' projections. I think a good strategy to be filling out this bracket this year, as I've learned from resources online, the best teams sometimes to win games, especially in this kind of tournament style where it's a single elimination game, you have your favorites, right? You have like your Arizonas, your Dukes, Michigan, Florida, Houston's, your Iowa State's, Purdue's, and UConn's. I just realized UConn isn't the number 5 overall because according to bracketing rules, The overall number 5 cannot be paired with the overall number 1 in the same region. That means UConn isn't even the top number 5. That loss really hurt them then. But anyways, you have your favorites there who should be taking care of business. They really should be. However, when you get to a point where um it's becomes apparent in a game where the underdog is actually hanging in there, like maybe like 5 to 10 points behind the favorite in a game, especially late, like in second half, like 10 minutes left or whatnot. Who's gonna be the team that pulls through and goes through with the tournament and wins? Who pulls through, shuts down the underdog, and wins? And which of the underdogs are going to be the ones that push forward and take down that favorite? Who's going to be a grittier team besides all your statistics and whatnot about each team? Who's going to be able to control the game better in the late game scenario? Especially when your team does not pull away early. That's going to be huge when it comes. Who's going to be mounting the pressure better? That's going to be huge for who goes far in this tournament. But yeah, early thoughts. I think, like I said earlier, Santa Clara was probably probably going to be a popular pick, and I might be tempted to go Santa Clara in that game. We'll see how things go though. UConn was number 6. Okay. Iowa State 7, Purdue 8. Yeah. Okay, that actually makes sense. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how things go. I'm gonna take like a few minutes, probably until like 6 o'clock my time, and just look and just see how each team stacks up against their opponent, especially in the late stages of the game. So when I come back, I will be doing my bracket and filling it out. And then after that, we'll end the stream off. So give me about 10-15 minutes. I may be back sooner, but I just want to look up some of these teams and potential matchups that I may be thinking about picking the underdog. So give me a moment. All right, that was a lot. That was a lot of just researching and doing all that. And also just looking at some of the analysis as well. Some people are just like early favorites, like all obviously like the one seeds, Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Florida, reaching the Final Four. I saw one of them pick St. John's, which means they would beat Duke in the Sweet 16, which is a really interesting idea. Someone said Purdue was going to win it all, which is interesting take. I'm not sure about that, but especially since the Big Ten team hasn't won in over a decade now. Houston. I saw someone say Houston would get to the Final Four. Everyone's high on Michigan, which is a really interesting idea, except for one person who went Virginia, which it's going to be a real interesting um, concept going forward when we get to tournament play. Let me actually look that up. It's one stat up. The last team to win from the Big Ten in college basketball was Michigan State back into the year 2000. So it's been a long time for a Big Ten team to win a title. I'm not sure if they have it in them this year, though. Especially with some of these matchups. All right, it's 6 o'clock now. I think y'all know what time it is. Give me a moment. I'm gonna pull up my bracket that I made a little over an hour ago. It's gonna be an exciting year. Alrighty, here it is. This is a bracketology time. Obviously, we can go stuff like this and whatnot. Let's start at the top of the bracket. I'm gonna go over like some of the previews each team has. I'm not gonna click on it on screen. I have a separate tab pulled up for off screen, but you'll see what my picks are and whatnot. Alrighty, going for the first time this tournament now for the first time you'll know who I pick. Alrighty, Duke versus Siena. I do want to go over briefly what some of the big notable results were, but overall, I think I'll know what the idea is. Duke, the number one overall team, top five offense, National Player of the Year with Cameron Boozer. Um, they're a really, really tough team. It's going to be a difficult task to knock them out. Siena, they're the winners out of the MAAC. The so they were the 3 seed there. I'd have to go Duke. There's just no way I don't pick Duke to get out of that game. And then we're gonna go in order from top to bottom. Ohio State and TCU. This is gonna be a really interesting. This is gonna be a really interesting matchup. Ohio State, one of their big notable wins was beating Purdue, the eventual Big Ten tournament champion, at home. That's probably what put them in the tournament. Not only in, but as a healthy 8 seed. Beating Purdue, Wisconsin, and Indiana over the final month leading into the Big Ten tournament, where the Buckeyes knocked off the Hawkeyes and kept it close against the Wolverines, show how much they've improved over the course of the season. They're a terrific shooting team, and they're also really good, or I say above average defensively against the 3 pointers, and they're getting really good at the right time. For the Horned Frogs, it's their defense that leads the way, turning over their opponents with a high frequency as 5 players average at least one steal per game. On the offensive end, though, they capitalize with a well-balanced attack. 8 players average about 8 points or more, led by sophomore forward David Punch, with wins in 9 of the last 11 games heading in the Big Ten. The Horned Frogs are getting really hot. So both of these teams already really gelling at the right time. Obviously, we noted Ohio State's big achievements for the Horned Frogs. One of their big wins was actually against Florida in the swamp back in November. They also had a win. They have wins against the Cyclones and the Red Raiders. However, they dropped their both of their matchups against the Jayhawks earlier this year. They lost to Houston and BYU in Arizona. So they've been able to play. They've actually managed to hold strong against some of these big teams. And for the Buckeyes, they've been able to handle some of the big teams. Other Ohio State notable things: they beat Wisconsin, Purdue, and Indiana. They lost to Michigan all three times. They fell to Virginia, Michigan State, and Illinois. I think in this matchup though, ooh, this is an interesting matchup because when Ohio State wins, they win. When they lose, they're actually keeping it close. With TCU, they're also keeping it close in some of these good games, but they haven't really blown out anyone. Defensively is TCU's big strength, but it's not like Ohio State hasn't been able to do stuff as well. However, Ohio State's a little weaker on the 2 point thing, is what I'm hearing. I think I might go Ohio State. I think I am liking the Buckeyes a little bit more over the Horned Frogs, but I could easily be wrong on that. St. John's in Northern Iowa. This could have upset potential, but I'm not seeing it. St. John's, they had a disappointing end to the season last year. I don't think they're going to let that happen again this year. They managed to storm and beat um, UConn twice this season, which is a big accomplishment on its own. They also managed to beat Villanova, probably their other toughest big team in the Big East, but they have lost to Alabama, Iowa State, Auburn, Kentucky, UConn, and then UConn was they got blown out by 32 in Connecticut. So St. John's, I don't think they're going to do well in the tournament as the tournament goes on, but against Northern Iowa, I think I might like them a little more. The Panthers though, let's look at them. The Panthers, um, they're really good defensively. They prefer a low possession game and are among the best in the country guarding the 3 point line. They shoot 65% from the field in the final two games of the Missouri of the MVC tournament, but they need to stay hot. They really need to. And St. John's, um, they're going to be really aggressive on the defensive end. Let's see. I think I am going to go St. John's in this game. It's going to be an interesting one. I think Northern Iowa could keep it close, but I think St. John's got the grit to close out games, and that's going to be important as the tournament goes on. Kansas against California Baptist now. I think yeah, defense is their big strength for the Jayhawks. Um, their shooting though is incredibly inconsistent, but when they get to the free throw line, they really nail it in. And that's going to be and if someone's going to be a heavily fouled team, that's going to be a big problem. And let's see. But the problem is California Baptist actually manages to hold teams pretty well in inside and outside of the arc. I think this game could actually be a lot closer than people expect, especially in like the first 30 minutes. I think though Kansas pulls it away at the end. I'm gonna go with the Jayhawks in that game. Louisville and South Florida. This is gonna be a lot. I might buy into the South Florida upset idea. LSU or not LSU, Louisville. They're one of the biggest question marks heading into the tournament due to the status of star freshman Mikael Brown Jr., who missed the entire ACC tournament. They went 7-5 without him and 16-5 with him. The Cardinals take over 52% of the shots behind the arc, fourth highest rate in the nation, and have their shots inside blocked at a top 20 rate, which is not great. It's the reason why they shoot out. This is a team that could win by 30 and probably lose by 30 2 days later. South Florida, this is probably the pick. They're a balanced team that ranks in the top 60 nationally in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Um, they're going to share the starters are going to play a lot of time for the Bulls in their games. I think, especially with the question of Mikael Brown, I'm gonna go with South Florida to pull off the upset in round one. This is a team. The South Florida Bulls, I think, are the best mid-major team in the entire field. I think it's gonna be asking a lot for Louisville to really pull off a good victory against some of these teams, and I think South Florida handles business. Michigan State versus North Dakota State. Let's see. The Spartans, they're one of the most balanced teams in the entire nation. Unfortunately, they do struggle shooting from the field a little bit. Um, they've also had some inconsistent play a little bit. They got swept by Michigan this year. They took a little bit of a shocking loss to UCLA in the Big Ten tournament. But they do have pretty good wins against Kentucky, Illinois, and Purdue. So it's gonna be we'll see how far they go into the tournament. North Dakota State had a pretty damn good year. They won a program record 27 games and are dancing for the first time since 2019. Um, the Bison aren't really ones to really draw fouls from their opponents nor commit them. So the Spartans are gonna have to really for North Dakota State to win this game. I think they're gonna need to draw Michigan State fouls quite a lot. And I don't think North Dakota's going to be a strong team when it comes to turning the ball over either. So I think I have to go with the Spartans here in this game, just because I think it's going to be something that the Spartans are going to be taking care of easily. UCLA, UCF. This is going to be a really interesting game. I saw this when the show was going live and whatnot. An up and down season for the Bruins settled down in the weeks leading up to the big dance with impressive wins over Illinois, Nebraska, and Michigan State, as I just mentioned. They have a they take care of the ball pretty well and are a top 60 defense in the entire nation. They do have some injuries from some of their leading scorers though, which is going to be a big concern going forward. UCF, they're kind of on a little bit of a downhill slide. I think you can expect a low scoring game in this one, and I think especially with UCLA with a little bit of questions, I think whoever wins this game is going to get knocked off by UConn in the next game. But I think I am going to go UCF. I'm a little concerned about the efficiency of the UCLA's leading scorers because if this is a defensive game, this could this could easily turn into something pretty damn quickly. Um, Especially since UCF has grit, and I think in a close game, that's going to be what carries this team forward. UConn versus Furman. I am going UConn, but I do want to look at the preview for some of these teams. Let me pick UConn real quick. Um, they have a really aggressive interior defense, and they have a pretty damn balanced offense. Furman, winners of the five of their last six, they're pretty damn hot right now. However, this is the big key issue, especially if Furman has any shot of winning this game. Furman has a turnover issues. And with UConn's going against UConn's incredibly aggressive interior defense, that's not ideal. So I am gonna go with UConn to win that game. So this is your round of 32 out of the East. Moving to the left side of the bracket, Arizona versus Long Island. Preview for that one. This is probably the healthiest and most balanced team in the entire tournament. The problem with Arizona in this tournament is the turnovers. That's their biggest weakness. But if they can fix that up, this team can go easily on a run. Long Island probably stands no chance. Arizona doesn't let teams really rebound pretty damn well, which is something um LIU is probably mostly known for their defense, but still I don't think it's going to be enough. Not nearly enough against the Wildcats. Speaking of Wildcats, Villanova against Utah State. Let's look at these two teams a little carefully. Villanova's back for the first time since Jay Wright was patrolling the sidelines. Let's see. They got a strong offense and defense. They got a balanced scoring attack. Um, Duke Brennan, when he's good having a good game, the Wildcats are really good. The free throw shooting, though, the easy points are really bad, especially in late games. That could really hurt a team. Utah State, they're good offensively, particularly inside the 3-point arc. And let's see, they're among the best at forcing turnovers defensively. I think the free throw shooting. Another thing about end games, if you can't make free throws, you're gonna have a really hard time wrapping things up, especially in tight games. I think I got to give it to the Aggies here. Wisconsin and High Point. This is another one of these games where a lot of people might actually favor the underdog here. The Badgers are actually they're actually they put up a really damn good fight against some of these teams, especially lately. They're a top five. They take care of the ball really well and shoot efficiently, which is going to be really damn good going forward. High Point. They're among the highest scoring teams in the nation, so this could easily turn into a really high scoring game. This team last year actually really hung around with Purdue last year, so we'll see how things handle differently this time. But in this scenario, ooh, if they can force Wisconsin to foul, especially late, High Point really forces turnovers. Wisconsin doesn't, so it's going to be whoever wins that turnover battle. Because High Point's not going to turn over the ball. I think. Ooh, do I give it to the Badgers? Or do I give it to the Panthers? Um, I think I might give it to Wisconsin. I might change that, but I think I'm gonna go with Wisconsin for right now. Arkansas and Hawaii. I looked this one. This is like one of the first games I looked up. These two teams go at it on offense. But Hawaii though, they actually can hold defenses pretty damn strong. But the thing is, they'll hang in games. But the thing for Arkansas is, we just saw this in the SEC championship game. They know how to grind things out. So I think I am gonna go with the Razorbacks in this one. I'm feeling good about Arkansas. All right, this is like the first four game I have. It's gonna be between Texas and NC State. We don't have a preview for this one, unfortunately. So we're kind of have to go with the gut here. NC State, I believe. I think they're going to beat Texas. However, let's look at. I'm going to look at NC State recently and just see how well this team performs as of late. Yeah, they got hit with a really, really rough patch at the end of the season. They were once at the top of the league, but then they kind of fell off a little bit. So very similar to BYU. I think BYU overall is gonna. I think they're gonna have the better team, and sometimes that's just what it comes down to. So I am gonna go with the Cougars. Whoever wins out of Texas and NC State is gonna get beat by BYU. That's my prediction, at least. Gonzaga, Kennesaw State. The Zags, talented and well-rounded as usual. The Zags are one of the best defensive teams in the nation. 63% of their offensive production comes from 2-point attempts. Third highest in the country. I think I gotta go with the Zags in this one. This is gonna be an interesting matchup between BYU and Gonzaga. Miami, Missouri. Ooh, this is gonna be a really good matchup as well. The Canes want to turn games into a physical battle. They play into contact and forces you to get on the same level. Lack of resilience on the three means you're unlikely to see massive blowouts. They don't really shoot the three a whole lot. They turn the ball over, but they're good at rebounding. So, ooh. So it just depends on if Miami can beat the rebounds offensively against Mizzou, because Miami can put him back up. They won't. They're not ones to take the three opportunity, but they can force turnovers, which I think is going to be helpful for Miami's case. I am going Miami in that game. Purdue against Queens. Purdue's hot. They're a slowly paced team, but they're getting hot at the right time. Queens. Let's see. Yeah, this is Purdue's comfort spot because Queens loves to force the slow ball, but this is what Purdue loves, and they can't play defense. So I got to give it to the Boilermakers in the pretty easily in that game. All right, next let's pick the Midwest. Whoever comes out of UMBC Howard, they're getting crushed by Michigan, no question about it. Georgia St. Louis. Georgia, Georgia. The Bulldogs heated up at the right time, and their potent offense carries them all the way to Selection Sunday. Entering the SEC tournament, they had the third highest scoring offense in D1 and were 10th in pace. Plus, they're top 10 in the nation in blocks and bench scoring. So they're pretty damn good offensively, and their defense isn't a shoe over either. St. Louis, this is going to be interesting. One of the best at the 2 and 3-point effective field goal percentages. They're also one of the top in terms of defending field goals from inside and outside the arc. They can block shots pretty. They'll play shot defense really well, but they can't force turnovers and they don't rebound. I think I gotta go with the Bulldogs in this one, because the thing is, defense. This is the stories of this game is gonna be defense. Georgia, they can block, and both teams can block. However, St. Louis can't really do much on the turnover or the rebounding margin, which is where Georgia can really, really carry their offense through. Texas Tech versus Akron. I think the big story of this one, Texas Tech is missing their big star, JT Toppin. Christian Anderson going down to the Big 12 tournament also scared him too. Well, will he be at 100%? Anderson. Because Texas Tech is a really good high scoring team. Akron. They've only lost once in 2026, and they do it with impressive offensive balance and depth. Akron is the shortest team in the field, and it attempts to make up for that by pushing the tempo. Which is going to be really, really difficult if Texas Tech needs the best out of their stars. And if they're not 100%, they're not going to be able to play pretty fast ball. They are among the top 50 in 2-point and 3-point percentages and have grittiness about them. So if Tech can't play fast, they may be fucked. But if they can, I think Tech does take this game. I am a little bit concerned about Anderson's health though, so I think I'm gonna go Akron in a 12-5 upset win, which would be the first of the tournament. All right, Bama and Hofstra. This is gonna be a really interesting game as well. Bama, they really, really rely on the three. And let's see. They don't force opponents into turnovers, but they're really good at rebounding. And they're going to rely heavily on the offense. Hofstra, let's see. They're really good defensively, so Bama's offense really has to show up in this game. And they're going to put all the pressure onto two guys, Cruz Davis and Preston Edmond. So that's Hofstra's pretty much big offense. That's where a lot of their offense is going to be coming from. So if Hofstra can defend the three pretty well, which they're not, they're more for the inside of the arc. This can really be a close game. I think because Bama shoots pretty well from three, I think I'm going to go Alabama in this game. It's going to be a tight one, and I think it's going to be close. But I think Bama will have what it takes to get it through. Yeah. Miami, Ohio, SMU. First off, I think Miami, Ohio does take down SMU in this game. However, the problem is Tennessee is actually a pretty damn good team, and that's going to be a really big test right after SMU. I think I am going to go the Volunteers in that game. Virginia versus Wright State. The Cavaliers. Ryan Odom is going to be probably the biggest star in this game. Their offense has really, really carried them, scoring 80-plus points in a game over 20 times this season. Former Kentucky player Ugonna Onyeso is going to be an elite shot blocker for the Cavaliers. Wright State. They don't play at a very high pace, but they really have relied on the offense. They're also a high-scoring team. Unfortunately, because Virginia also likes to play fast, it's going to really affect how Wright State plays. I think I am going to go with the Cavaliers in this one just because the pace is going to be a really big factor in the game, and I don't think Wright State's going to have what it takes to... How much does it cost to make a bracket? Nothing at all. This is absolutely free on ESPN. Kane's going to roll. We'll see. We'll see how far they go this tournament. Let's see. Kentucky versus Santa Clara. This is probably my most safe upset pick of the tournament. I know Kentucky controls the tempo, and that's going to be really, really good for them, especially moving quick on offense. But the foul trouble is going to be really what's going to hurt them, and their streaky shooting is going to be a problem. The Broncos are going to be playing really damn good basketball. And I think if they can make the free throws at the end, I don't know if Kentucky can keep up with the street with that. I wouldn't be so concerned if it wasn't for the fact that this team is so inconsistent with shooting. So I think I am going to go Santa Clara to pull off the 10-7 upset in this game. Iowa State, Tennessee State. The defense is the big strong suit, strong factor of the Cyclones. Let's see. The half court offense for the Cyclones, if they're not allowed to play very fast, if they face a really strong team, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. Tennessee State, if Tennessee State can force turnovers in the half court, they're going to make this game close. However, I think Iowa State's going to have what it takes to beat the Tigers in this game. To start off the South, Florida, I think very easily is going to beat whoever comes out of that Prairie View Lehigh game. Clemson versus Iowa. This is going to be an interesting matchup for plenty of reasons. Iowa's the slow-paced team. They want to play. They want to control the tempo to be a very slow game. Their free throw percentage is really damn good, and they're really accurate. And they can also play in the paint pretty damn well on offense. They have a really pesky defense, and that's going to force a lot of mistakes. But the problem is Iowa cannot play against the tall people. But if Ben Stritz, the leading scorer for the Hawkeyes, is forced to do everything on his own, the offense will crumble. Clemson, RJ Godfrey is the only active Tigers player averaging double digit scoring at 11.9 points per game. So Clemson's not a really high scoring team. But they're kind of getting cold at this point of the season. Clemson is going to play defense really. That's their big strong suit. But they're getting cold at the wrong possible time. I think I am going to go with Clemson in this game, though. I think if they can pull off one, I think it would be really good for them. Vanderbilt and McNeese. I could see people picking McNeese as an upset. They did beat Clemson last year. The turnovers, forces turnovers on nearly a quarter of possessions and score 23 points per game off of miscues. Inside the arc, the Miss Nick's Cowboys are going to be really dangerous. Vandy, the offense is pretty damn good, and their free throw accuracy from their top scorers are going to be crucial to really close games. So if McNeese can provide on the free throws, they're gonna be it's gonna be a really close game. However, I do think Vandy has what it takes defensively to really hold off McNeese in this game. Nebraska against Troy. Nebraska still looking for his first ever NCAA tournament victory. Nebraska, they have a really good defense, but it's the paint where they struggle, especially when it comes to rebounding. Troy, they're going to be streaky on offense. And let's see. and they have to really rely on someone coming off an injury. Yeah, I got to go with Nebraska in this game. Injuries are going to be playing a really big part in this tournament, I feel. And if Troy needs someone to really pull through for them, especially against a strong defense like Nebraska, it's going to be a really tall order for the Trojans to pull off an upset here. North Carolina VCU. Now, I did call for an upset last year of VCU over BYU, which did not happen. North Carolina has bounced back surprisingly well from playing without freshman Caleb Wilson. They're gonna need their best player for this game for these games though, is the big problem. Oh boy. VCU. VCU is just a lot like McNeese. They'll force and commit fouls a lot. I don't know if I want to do this. Oh boy. I think ooh, this is tough. I don't know what I want to do here. Do I have VCU upsetting North Carolina? That's a really big question for me. Oh, I think I am gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger. VCU upsets North Carolina. Illinois versus Penn. This should be a pretty easy game. Illinois is probably one of the best offenses in the entire league, in the entire nation. But if the beef defense plays quick, they'll have trouble in the tournament. The Quakers stand out for their ability to shoot the three-pointer and defend it. So this could be a really, really interesting game. I think Illinois is going to have what it takes to pull it off, but it's going to be a really close. It's going to be a closer game than people expect. St. Mary's against A&M. They're a really well balanced team. That's their big strength. I think I gotta go St. Mary's. They're just too well balanced, and A&M they do shoot well from three. They're a good offensive team, but if they can't really slow down St. Mary's, especially when they do commit turnovers and get shots blocked, they're not going to be able to hang with the Gales for very long. Houston and Idaho. I'm going Houston. That's going to be pretty dang easy, but I do want to look up Houston real quick. They're going to be a defensive team this year, but they're also going to be pretty dang good for offense, too. They're going to be really good at rebounding in this tournament. That's their big strength. All right, so to the round of 32 we go. Duke, Ohio State. Ooh, let's see about this game though. The free throw is going to be really the free throws is going to be a big factor. Can Ohio State force fouls? I don't think so. So I think Duke does get to the Sweet 16 in this scenario. It's not gonna be easy, but they'll get there. They're gonna get there. St. John's against Kansas. I think I am gonna go with St. John's in this game. It's the problem is free throws and the turnovers for Kansas are gonna be a really, really bad combination for to win games. So I gotta go. I gotta go with St. John's in that one. South Florida, Michigan State. That's gonna be an interesting one. I think South Florida actually goes on a bit of a run. I think I'm gonna pick them over Michigan State. It's gonna be a big upset victory for the Bulls. But I think if they can get Michigan State at a really, really bad time, they're going to be able to pull away at the end. It's not going to be an easy, or it's not going to be easy. But I think they do have what it takes to pull off a pretty big upset for the program. UConn and UCF, I mentioned it earlier. I think whoever was going to come out of this game, they're not strong enough to beat UConn. So I am going with Huskies to make the Sweet 16. Let's go to the opposite side of the bracket for a moment. Arizona, Utah State. It's going to be the turnover battle between Utah State against Arizona. It's going to be an interesting game, and I think it's going to be really, really close. It's going to come down who's going to have the better grit. I don't see Utah State having enough in them to pull off the upset here. I'm going with the Wildcats to take the win. Wisconsin versus Arkansas. I think this is where Wisconsin gets their little bit of they don't turn over the ball much. I think this is where Wisconsin actually does knock off Arkansas. I am going with the Badgers in this one. BYU against Gonzaga. BYU, I don't like BYU much in this tournament. I think I gotta go with Gonzaga in this one. I'm going with the Zags. Miami versus Purdue. This could be a really interesting matchup because Purdue has had trouble with lower seeds recently. They are hot. They are hot. They don't shoot the three much, which is something good for Purdue because they don't really do well against facing teams that shoot from outside the arc. I think I got to go with the Boilermakers in this one. I think I like Purdue a little bit too much to really knock them off this early. Down to the bottom of the bracket, Michigan, Georgia. This looks like a football matchup. What the heck? It's going to be Georgia's offense. It's going to be really put to the test in this one. But the defense for Michigan is going to be the big story for this year. Georgia's not really known for forcing turnovers, though, so I don't think Michigan's going to run into the problem yet. I'm going with Michigan to get the win over Georgia. I think probably this is where Bama meets or Akron meets its end. I think Bama is going to take down Akron in this one. Tennessee, Virginia. That's going to be a really interesting matchup if it gets that far. Let's see. Just it's going to be offense for Virginia. Tennessee, their biggest issue, free throw shooting. They're under 70% from the free throw line, and they get into turnover and foul trouble easily. I gotta go with the Cavaliers in this one then. I don't like that Tennessee does that often. Santa Clara versus Iowa State. I think I gotta go with the Cyclones in this one. I'm going chalk pretty much for the Midwest. It's round of 32. Now back up to the South region. Clemson versus Florida. I think I gotta go with Florida in this one. Gotten hot this entire tournament or this entire season at the end. And I think Florida's going to have the grittiness in them to really grind out games. Vanderbilt versus Nebraska. I think I'm going to go Vandy here. Yeah, I am going to go Vandy. I think I'm going to go Vandy to beat Nebraska in this. VCU, Illinois. I think I'm going to go the Illini in this one. Yeah. Illinois, whether they go against North Carolina or VCU, I think Illinois got this one. Let me look at North Carolina real quick. And then the final game, St. Mary's versus Houston. Ooh, let's just run that. Yeah, this is there are 5 losses though, all against top tier teams, and Houston's gonna be one of those top tier teams. I gotta go with the Cougars in this one. Are all 50 states competing? Um, I mean, nah. I mean, if they have a colleges, I guess, but most of this is just like teams that I feel. How I make these picks, look at statistics. I think I choose my values really well when I come to picking NCAA tournament teams. Who's going to be the grittier team? Who's going to be the best at shooting from the free throws? Because that's especially in end games. If they can make it close, that's when that's really going to count. Like this game, Duke versus St. John's. This is going to be a really tight game, no matter what. if Duke can't fix the free throw percentage, they may have a bit of it may be tough. But I think Duke is just barely going to have enough to take down St. John's. I like Duke over St. John's just barely. South Florida versus UConn. I think this is where the ride ends for South Florida. I'm going UConn in this game. Arizona versus Wisconsin. This is going to be a really big game. One of the most balanced teams in the entire nation. I think I am going to go Arizona in this win. Wisconsin's not known much for turning over or forcing turnovers, so I think Arizona's going to be fine for right now. Gonzaga versus Purdue. I think Purdue is on a bit of a streak now. I think I am going to put them in the Elite Eight, just barely over Gonzaga. I think they're going to be able to grind out a game pretty damn well. Michigan versus Alabama. Ooh, let's see. The Wolverines are so balanced, but their problem mainly is the turnovers. But Crimson Tide don't really rely on forcing turnovers. So I think Michigan, once again, dodges a bullet. I think they're going to go to the Elite Eight. Virginia versus Iowa State. I think I am going to go Virginia in this one. I think it's going to be tight, but I think Virginia's going to have enough, especially with a deep bench. It's going to be able to grind out a game. I think I am going to go Cavaliers. Florida versus Vandy. Let's see. This is the rematch of that SEC semifinal game. They commit a lot of fouls, but they'll block and steal. I think I am going to give the slight edge to Vandy. I think Vandy is going to be able to make noise this postseason, and it's going to involve taking down the number one overall seed or in the region. I think I am going to go Houston. It's going to be this is going to be a really damn good game. I think Houston's going to have enough in the tank to really grind out a good game, and I think that's what's going to happen. So, Elite Eight time from the East, Duke versus UConn. Oh my goodness, that's going to be such a good game. Does this is this where the free throw shooting finally bites them? I think UConn could pull this off, but I'm going to go Duke. I'm going Duke to get to the Final Four. Arizona versus Purdue. I think this is where Purdue can get really hot, but I think I got to like Arizona a little bit more. They're a more balanced team. Going Arizona to get to the Final Four. Michigan versus Virginia. I think in this one, I'm going to favor Michigan just slightly. It's going to be a really good game, but I am going to go Wolverines. I think the turnovers could be a bit of an issue, but I think Michigan has what it takes to get it done. Vandy versus Houston. I think this is where the magical run ends for Vanderbilt. I think Houston's a little too deep for them. So I'm going Houston to get to the Final Four. Duke versus Houston in the Final Four. I think Houston does get it done again, though. I'm going Houston to get to the championship. Arizona versus Michigan. This would be an epic Final Four. I think I'm going to go Michigan in this one. I think they're a bit too balanced to. So it's down to Houston versus Michigan. I think this time it's going to be Houston. What's the final score? Or how many points are going to be scored in this one? Ooh. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game. It's going to be around like 70 to 63. So 133 points. So there you have it. I'm going Houston to win it all. It's going to be a really difficult bracket to predict. This is it's probably one of the more unpredictable brackets I have seen in quite some time. But I'm so excited for March. It is back. But with that being said, I'm going to end the stream here. March Madness. You'll love it so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, be sure to share the channel around. It helps me grow. Not sure when I'm gonna be able to do another stream next because I'm going home to spring break. But hopefully it'll be sometime very, very soon. So, with that in mind, yeah, we'll see you probably, hopefully, soon. I don't know when, but soon. But with that being said, see you later, peeps. Thanks for watching, and I picked Houston to win March Madness.